like my shoulder pop out, I shouldn't be hurting, man.
It does. It hurts a lot. It's very painful. I think it's happened about 3 times in my entire life, and all the times that it happened, the years were spaced out. It's not like it happened back to back.
Back to back.
Yeah.
Damn, like, man, that's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I feel bad for your shoulder.
I do too. It's all right though.
Shit, I feel bad for my shoulder too. Shoulder hurt every day.
Aww.
That'd be alright though. They gave me Motrin, so I'll take that. Right, doctor said, yeah, take some ibuprofen 400. I'm like, dude, like I didn't even tell you, but I hate taking medication.
You do?
I don't like modern medication.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think even psych meds. I don't like psych meds.
Some psych meds are needed.
Now we're gonna disagree.
Some. It depends on who the individual is and how they cope with their mental illness. You see all of the clients that we are around all the time. You know, some of them are good when they're not on meds, when they are on meds, and then some, like, you can tell the big difference when they're actually not on medication and they actually need that to be controlled.
I have a question for you.
Uh-huh.
When I get to that soft voice, I always got a good point at that point. So side effects.
There's side effects to everything.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of the side effects some of these psych meds get? If off the top of your head.
Depending on what the medication is, like for some depression medications, it can allow you to be more depressed, but then there's a turnover point where you're actually feeling happy. Nausea, stomach pain, headaches, regular stuff.
Can I tell you that I'm still a fan of shock therapy?
You're a fan of shock therapy? That is horrible.
It's a reason though.
What is the reason?
Because the side effects is not like vomiting. It doesn't lead to more depression or feeling more depressed. Basically, I'm a fan because it only leads to short-term memory loss. It doesn't go to long-term memory loss. It can
lead to long-term as well, depending on how intense the shock is.
So everything has side effects.
Yes.
So I think that people should still get shock therapy.
Shock therapy is way too intense.
It's too intense, but it works.
I don't think it works.
But medication takes time. Like medication, some medication it damages your liver in time.
Mm-hmm.
Some medication, the side effects is worse than the actual being diagnosed with something. Mm-hmm. So that's how I look at shock therapy. It's basically okay because it's just that particular time. Like you said, it depends on how severe the shock therapy is. Right. So you don't want to go like, all right, let's 2 million volts of shock therapy.
But then again, if the sickness doesn't go away, how do they determine when to stop?
Well, that's when you do your research and you have this person. I don't think that you do it one time. You say, all right, you do shock therapy, you cured.
No, it doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work like that. Mm-mm. If you give somebody medication and I say, oh, you cure. It doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't either.
You know why?
Why?
Because it takes time. The body has to
adjust to it. Right.
So it's like if you start taking it on Monday, then you need to be taking it every day.
I don't know about shock therapy. I don't really care for people taking medication either. But when it comes to mental illness, that's a different thing because that's something that can't always be controlled.
But I have another thing too. I believe in shock therapy, and I also I don't believe in medication, like psych meds or any type of medication. I don't even like to take the ibuprofen because it doesn't really help.
Right.
But for the psych meds, for people who's taking psych meds, I don't think it works. I think other therapy treatments should be put in place. I think there should be other different groups, walking groups, and other different therapeutic groups.
That I agree.
That a lot of agencies don't provide just because the money
right.
in it is so expensive.
Right.
But that's what I believe in. I don't think that meds cure everything. I think that people being able to socialize and have that socialization is really important dealing with mental illness.
Right.
If you have a bunch of people in a room who's talking about why they're mentally ill, and then they're doing different programs, and they got different groups that go with, you know, different mental illnesses. If you go with depression and you have a group about depression, you know, what causes depression.
Right.
Some people don't even know that they're depressed.
Right. That's true.
Like, literally, like, they can walk around the world and like, everything is fine, I guess. But you don't know that. And I think a lot of people, and they said it too. I was reading an article. I don't know where I read it from, but they said a lot of people suffer depression. They don't know.
Right.
And when they don't realize it, it leads to other mental illnesses.
Mm-hmm. Well, depression is one of those illnesses that I would say is at the bottom of the totem pole, because you can be depressed at any time and get over it, in my opinion.
Yeah, her opinion. but so what's one of the what's number one? I think what is it, schizoaffective number one, or like schizophrenic? It's some of them, or even PTSD. I know PTSD
is pretty tragic.
It's really tragic, because that doesn't just happen when, you know, I think they say a lot of soldiers go through PTSD, a lot of you know, veterans, stuff like that. But it can happen to, you know, regular people who's going through, you know, who suffered a loss in a fire, or you know, gun shootings and stuff like that.
Right.
That leads to depression. That leads to PTSD. That's the two common denominators right there.
Right.
You know, so that's just my take on medication. I don't like medication. I ain't gonna take it. That's why I don't take my ibuprofen. That's why my shoulder's gonna feel much better after you know, exercising and stuff like that.
I actually I discourage people from taking pain meds as well. I had a surgery and I was prescribed Vicodin. I only took the Vicodin twice, and I don't even remember how many pills were in the bottle, but I didn't take it. I toughed it out, and I was in so much pain.
Yeah, you know, lucky thing you didn't sell it.
I could have made a lot of money, actually.
Listen, you're talking about $60. I'm
For
just
real? Do I still have it? I think I still have it.
Just check that bag. And you in Brooklyn? Ooh. Nah, I'm just joking. But yeah, I don't like pain meds. I think it's other ways for pain management.
Right.
Other ways. There's a different exercise, different techniques that you can use. Because a lot of people are addicted to pain meds.
Right.
And if you go to, and now they want to make it a big, here you go. Now they want to make it a big thing about being addicted to pain medication because it hit the area that they didn't want it to hit.
Right.
Which is the Caucasian area. So that's why they have a lot of people talking about it in those areas, because it's big. It jumped. I think it jumped up to like 25% to at least another 25%. So if you look at the percentage rise on people who started, you know, taking pain medication just for, you know, cause for substance abuse, whatever, now it's at an all-time high. So
I think it's always been around, but the thing with the Caucasian population is it wasn't always reported.
Caucasian population.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a reason why it wasn't reported, because they look at it as it's honestly is considered a white drug. That's what they consider. But this is what's funny, and I look at it like, here go my point again. When you in our community, in African American community, they didn't make a big thing about crack cocaine. And they didn't make programs. They didn't say, oh, well, let's put programs out for crack cocaine right away. It took time.
Right.
It took 17, almost 20 years before they had programs.
Right.
Now, for people who's addicted to the oxycodones and the Vicodins and all these other pain meds and all these other heavy medication, they instantly have programs now.
Right.
Like let's just put these programs in there,
Right.
Just to get to that audience.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like our podcast. Like, we guarantee a certain audience, but we want to reach everybody.
Right.
I'm not saying that, the pain meds is not in the African American community, but it's definitely in that community, the Caucasian community. But it's a lot of different resources they can go to get help.
Right. And they have the money for it.
Yep, because of Donald Trump. And what's funny is that it's really big in Jersey.
It is?
Yeah, like Caucasians are addicted to pain meds in Jersey, and that's what Governor Christie, from the Bridgegate, is actually he's actually heading up a bunch of different programs to stop it, because it was at an all-time high now.
Right.
So, and it's not hitting his inner city, it's hitting his suburban areas.
Right.
His neighbors. And I would, and believe it or not, our neighbors my neighbors in my neighborhood sometimes are addicted to, they're addicted to marijuana, they're addicted to crack cocaine. But you don't see any programs that's going to be suitable for them.
There's a few.
There's a few now, but
yeah,
it took so long. And I'm pretty sure in those suburban communities, whatever insurance that they have
may not cover it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
So the insurance that the guys that I know around in my neighborhood, their insurance not gonna cover it.
No.
Because basically the government just say, hey, just stop what you're doing and get over it.
Right.
And for them, it's like, we're gonna help you stop what you're doing.
Right.
So that's just my take on it. What's up? No. What else you want to talk about?
Anything,
everything.
Anything, yes.
Anything, everything. All right. So I was thinking about I wanted to start doing a couple podcasts, basically when almost at the end or the tail end, you would just voice your opinion. I like that idea.
Okay.
I think so today will be your day to voice your opinion. This is the only reason I got a podcast, so I can vent and I can say whatever I want and not be ridiculed for it or be pointed at when I'm walking down, because I don't really care. But this is the only reason I have it, so I can say what I want to say.
Right.
And I think that whoever this is our podcast, Real Conversations. So Real Conversations is about real things that's going on.
Right.
Not everything fake. So, Tilda, this is your chance to vent. This is your chance to say what you want to say and without backlash.
Ari, why you gotta put me on the spot? I'm not a big fan of...
Say it.
I don't have anything to say.
I say it for you.
Start it off.
I'm very antisocial.
I don't think you're antisocial. I think you're...
She's venting on me.
I think that you like to observe before you actually speak to people.
Yes. From head to toe.
And that doesn't necessarily make you antisocial.
You know what's funny is that I like that was a good rant, because you just said how I am. That's how I am though.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people don't see it like that. I had a college roommate who said, I don't want to talk to you because you stuck up. I said, dude, I ain't stuck up. I just don't like you.
Oh wow.
But that was a long time ago. I forgot his name though. But basically, like, for people who's listening to this podcast, I'm not expecting, and there's two type of people that I'm expecting to listen to this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I call them the listeners, and I call them the understanders.
Right.
See, the listeners is the people that just say, I listen.
Mm-hmm.
The understanders is the people that say, damn, I understand everything you said in this podcast. That's the people I'm trying to reach, though.
Right.
I don't reach the listeners. Because the listeners just listen.
Right.
The understanders understand. And they can go along with the message, and they can understand it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing it for the understanders. The listeners, they can get the hell out of here.
Makes sense. Well, I'm a listener, but I do like to understand as well. Just because you're not a understander doesn't mean that you may not agree or agree on certain things. So